Oh, hello. I didn't notice you there. I guess this is what we're doing tonight. Welcome back to the Constitutionals. I'm your host, Chad White. If you didn't know, this is the premiere podcast for the website cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. Now, if you're not watching the video, you can't see that I am recording this in a new location. It is inside my apartment, but it's not the office space. No, it's not the living room. It's not the kitchen, and it's not the bathroom. No, it is my bedroom where I do sleep. I urge you to watch the video to see a wall of nothing. My very simple bed. Me sitting on a cheap mattress under my covers. I do plan on getting a better mattress, but that takes time and money. And one of those I have plenty of. So welcome back to the Constitutionals podcast. This is episode 153, I believe, or 4. Let's get the number down before we make anything. 153. I was right. Correct. 153. I'm very busy, as you can tell. I'm getting in bed at 6:57. You can see my Google Home over here, my white noise machine, my earplugs that I now need to sleep. Let me show you. Let me give you a tour. There's a brick wall to camera left. Camera left. I forgot which one's which. Excuse me. Brick wall and camera left. There's a brick wall in every room. Obviously, makes everything very cold. But on this far corner is where my dirty clothes hamper is. That's where I am right now. Currently, there are a pair of shorts and a pair of boxer briefs hanging off the side to let those dry, before I put them in there, because you don't want to put wet clothes in there. And then there's a blue LED light on this side of the wall strip that brightens up the room. Hey, Google, turn on the bedroom lights. We'll see. We'll take a look at this. Yep. You can't say anything. And it's not blue. It's actually white, but it makes the room look blue. So, I don't know if you can see it. It looks horrible. Hey, Google, bedroom lights off. And thank you. Behind you is the closet where I keep my tops and my shoes and my 2 belts and one belt that I wear all the time and my other belt that I don't wear. And a duffel bag that I use and some other small bags and my New Yorker tote. This is where my book bag lives, over there in that corner. And then in that corner is where all of my sports stuff live. So when I go work out, that's where I go to that corner, rummage through it. And then this is I don't know exactly what the camera can see because I'm only using the GoPro today, again, for the second week in a row. And this is a bedside table. Is a dog barking? Oh, my neighbor in front of the dog. This is a side table that or a bedside. What are these things called? Anyway, it's a side bedside drawer thing or whatever. I've had as long as I can remember, probably since I was like at least a child 5, a child or 5. And it's one of the few things to make it from the old house that I used to live in. That and the trash can in the bathroom. So if you ever come over my apartment, know that this and the trash can in the bathroom are the 2 oldest things that I own. And this is so disgusting and it's chipped, but it holds everything I need to hold. Also, it's where stuff lives. I don't know if you can hear the television, but it is on in the main room. Yeah, I'm wasting electricity, but what are you going to do about it? 5 minutes in. Welcome back to the Constitutionals. This is a wonderful show where I sit down and I talk. But I didn't want to pick up any news stories that had to deal with the coronavirus. I didn't want to mention it, but here we are doing that again. So we're going to do... Jesus. What is that? I turned it on the only thing that I know was going to be constantly playing, and I turned it on Pluto TV. Pluto TV is a free TV app where you get to watch a bunch of already curated channels. Like they have Nickelodeon has some stuff up there because it's owned by Viacom and CBS, but Nickelodeon has some stuff up there. There's a 24-hour NBC News channel. There's a 24-hour James Bond movie channels or 24-hour MTV Cribs channel, just theme channels like that. And the only time I ever watch Pluto is to either have some, noise going on. And the only channel I turn it on is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles channel. And it switches off playing the 2012 show, and the 2003 show, I believe, is the cartoon, the 2D WB Kids cartoon, or Kids WB. You can hear the theme song right now. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I love the 2012 show. It's very childish, like Boss Baby is. Just finished Boss Baby this week. But I do love that show. I love the theme song too. It's playing right now. Sorry. Anyway. So yeah, I wanted to do another episode. Last week's episode was me ranking the show, or one sentence review, barely one sentence review of the shows that I subscribe to on podcasts. And so now this one is just, no news grabbing. Also, there wasn't anything that really grabbed me this week. So let's see if I can rummage around in my brain for another 20 minutes. Minimum. The show's got to reach at least 25 minutes. That is the rule. There's no rule. Listen, we do have one thing that kind of deals with coronavirus. This is from GameSpot, written by Steve Watts. I'm very comfortable right now. I wanted to do this laying down. I wanted to do this weeks ago when I did not have any ideas for what I wanted to do for an episode. And I wanted to do this laying down inside the bed, under the covers, with the GoPro coming from the door and looking over at me. But I couldn't figure, I couldn't figure out how to hold the mic and all that stuff. And this is obviously before I had the Zoom. And the Zoom makes this so much easier. It truly does. But it just never worked out that way. So now I'm doing it like this. And also there's video coming right now. I can see the GoPro is recording. I made sure it was on video because last week I did not. And it was very dumb. Steve Watts wrote this for GameSpot. With E3 2020 canceled, the ESA left open the possibility. The title is, after E3's cancellation, the ESA drops plans for a digital replacement event. Then the sublead is, with E3 2020 canceled, the ESA left open the possibility of hosting a digital event instead. Now the organization has announced that it's not happening. I don't want to get too far into this thought that I'm having right now, but I've been very lonely for a long time, and I started looking into adopting a dog. And I looked at the Atlanta Humane Society website, and, periodically over the course of like the past couple of years, I would look and go, none of these dogs really tickle my fancy. There's one dog a couple of years ago named Poncho when I lived in Roswell, and I went to go visit that dog, and he was great. He was adorable. But I didn't have a job to afford a dog then, or anything really then. But anyway, these past couple of weeks, I was looking, and actually, no, slightly before the coronavirus hit, I was looking, and I saw this one dog. American is a pit mix with something else. Pit mix with something else. That's what it mixes. And I saw it, and I thought, oh, she's great. This is great. This is a great dog. I don't want to say her name because if I don't get her, it's going to suck. And I want to be reminded of another woman I lost. And and so she's great, very cute, very energetic. She has a great coat, great muscular build, and so she and I would be great for running around with each other. She'd come on runs and stuff, and love to go on walks with her, having excuses to get out, besides work and grocery shopping. And today, oddly enough, because like earlier this week, I looked. And I watched through, actually, like 2 days ago, from the time it's recording, today's Thursday, I looked at it on the website, and obviously the Humane Society's closed until, further notice. It was supposed to be until April 30th, but then they pushed it back to May 31st. And so I looked, and I'm like, man, this dog's great. Maybe it's only $50 to adopt her. She's already in a foster home. Maybe they already have the stuff. And one of my concerns is not just her peeing everywhere, but also, and not just me affording her, but also, having this stuff. I looked into how much it would cost to get a dog and how much, it would take to have everything ready. Like, you got to have dog bowls, the dog food, you have dog beds, toys, all this stuff. And the minimum is like $1,000. So, and I just spent, however much money on a car. I obviously don't have $1,000 to toss up, but now, it is. So anyway, I looked today. I went to go look at the dog again, twice in a week. That means like maybe I'm leaning towards it. I go look, I'll figure out the money. Jesus. I go look at the dog again. Humane Society changes the date to May 31st. And because we're living in a state of, we don't know when things are going to be open again. All of the dogs are gone from the website, and I believe all the cats as well, with the exception of like 7 dogs that are, I guess, in foster homes. But this dog's in a foster home that I want. But like 7 dogs. There's no other animals on the website, and I just go, oh my gosh, she's adopted. So I don't know. Who knows? I want this dog. I want her. Her name is, I don't want to say it. Her name is Storm, and it's a great name, right? And so, yeah, I mean, I'm thinking about maybe I put the crate over here to my right against the brick wall, and she can sleep there, Anywho, let's get into this. So the ESA is going to not hold the E3 conference in physical. We knew that was going to happen. And they're also not going to hold a digital conference, which is what was thought to happen. Let me turn the iPad upside down. So we thought, there should be a digital version. The NFL draft is going to be digital, probably. The NBA draft is probably going to be digital. Everything is probably going to be digital. But the ESA is just thinking, no, it's not going to happen. I know earlier this week, Microsoft said they're only doing digital events for the rest of the year. So that means Gamescom, Comic-Con, everything that, a video game distributor, employer, producer, publisher would show up at. They're only going to do digital events. I mean, Nintendo's already ahead of that, so ahead of the curve. And I can only assume Sony's going to do the same thing for PlayStation. There is just a cookie cutter quote. We know that. That was obviously going to have to be the logical thing that happens. I'm scratching my leg. I'm not scratching my genitals. We knew that was going to be the logical thing, that obviously we can't have this big event where all these sweaty nerds pack in together. They already don't bathe. So why put them together? Even if by some miraculous event, the coronavirus just evaporated and went away. And then in June and July, everybody said, all right, let's do this. Let's put things back on. Let's start baseball again. Let's start football, summer training. Let's start, the summer leagues for basketball. What am I missing? Soccer. The Olympics. So let's do all this stuff. We knew this wasn't going to be. It wasn't going to be. But I don't understand not putting together a event of sorts. Hopefully they can use this time to retrain themselves, to rethink what E3 is, because in the past couple of years it has been waning and it's been struggling. Publishers have been dropping out and holding their own events. See Nintendo, see Sony, who wasn't even going to show up this year. EA dropped out a couple years ago, and they've been holding an event prior to E3, and then, it leads into E3. So this should be, and this is not just for the ESA, but also for everybody. There should be a year to reinvent. You have E3, which was struggling, people leaving, publishers leaving, and them selling out tickets to the public, and then it just being overcrowded and people just not generally having fun. take this as an opportunity to go, okay, let me sit back. Let me reevaluate what E3 is. This is for the S-rated thing. Same thing goes for, the Fast and Furious movie, Fast 9 or Fast 8. Fast 9 is sitting on someone's hard drive right now. It should have been coming out in, a week or two. It's sitting on someone's hard drive right now. Obviously, you're not going to retouch the movie, but take this time to rethink, Sony is just pushed back its entire slate. Take this time to say, okay, was this movie going to make money in the first place? Disney just is going to release Artemis Fowl on Disney Plus, and I can tell you that movie was not going to make as much money as I think it was. The only time I ever heard of Artemis Fowl was when I was in grade school, maybe middle school, and people's lit classes were reading that. Not mine, but other people's were. I remember one time in middle school, I really wanted to be in the honors English class. And I asked my teacher, there's a special test you had to take so then they can move you to that class. And I asked my teacher, and I knew I had the grades. I knew I was smart enough to be in that class. And I also had another friend named Jordan, who we were inseparable. When you have it's like Rhett and Link, when you have your best friend and for those 3 years or for those few years you're in grade school or middle school or something like that, particularly grade school and middle school, when you have your best friend for those years. And he was that in middle school. And I was a clown and I brought him down. Truly, that's truly thing. That's the truest thing. I was a clown and I brought him down to my level. But he was also a smart cookie. And he took the test to get in the class. And I remember we both took the test. I passed. I specifically, I know for a certain fact I passed. And he passed, obviously. And we went to the teacher and basically we're like, all right, so when are we going to be moved in this class? And she goes, and this teacher that I know that I've caused so much pain to, she looks and she's like, okay, you're both not going to be in this class. Because you're going to be disrupting the class, blah, blah, blah. Chad, you're staying down. Jordan, you're moving up. And I was so angry. And that was the worst because I really wanted to be in that class. I think about that periodically. It really makes me mad. How dare she do that? I don't remember her name, and I could probably go get my middle school yearbook, but it's in the living room. And I don't want to call her out. But I just remembered that. And the same thing kind of happened in 8th grade, I believe. They'd always, I have the good grades. And then I would be put in, I'd be like the smartest kid in the remedial class. Not remedial, but like the on level class. And I would always be like, can I go to honors? I have the A's to prove it, the A's and the B's to prove it. No, you can't do that. I think about that so much. Anyway. Okay, so let's move on. We're just doing this all in one shot, baby. This week was the week of finales for me. Like I said, I finished Boss Baby, this 3rd season finale. I assume they'll be back for season 4. We'll see what happens. DreamWorks and Netflix, they tend to cancel shows without even telling people. And they left it open. Boss Baby, the TV show, is great. A little childish for my taste. Because it's a show about babies. It's a short show for babies. And then, what else? Oh, today I just watched the Schitt's Creek finale. Oh my gosh, was so happy, so good. Schitt's Creek is a show that I've talked about the show before. If you don't watch Schitt's Creek, then you're not gonna watch it now. Schitt's Creek is a show starring Eugene Levy, his son Daniel, Catherine O'Hara, and just truly just a great group of other actors Chris Elliott, everyone else I forget. I have an iPad from me. I'm not gonna look it up. Let me name the daughter who plays Alexis, because that would be disappointing if I named everybody and I didn't name her. Her name is Annie Murphy. I knew that. Duh. Annie Murphy, Emily Hampshire, Noah Reid. There we go. That's everybody. All right. Anyway, great show. Was on Pop TV that nobody watched. It was a Canadian channel. I mean, not Canadian channel. It's a Canadian-based show on Pop TV, owned by CBS, Viacom CBS now. About a rich magnate family who loses all their money, have to move to a town they bought for their son on his birthday as a joke, and they think they're better than everybody. And then over the course of 6 seasons, they grow to be part of the town and love everybody. But in the finale, they all go off in their own separate ways, and some of them stay and some of them go, and it's all very lovely. The son, Daniel Levy, who plays David, he created the show. He marries his now husband Patrick, and it was a lovely ceremony. And I let some tears loose. Here we go. That's the title. 2217. Let some tears loose. That's a good one. I like that a lot. And but what I really like about this show is that it's a very sweet and lovely show that I'm going to diverge for a second. I once heard an interview or read an interview with oh God, what is his name? The guy who created It's in My Head. Oh no. And I feel so bad because it's one of my favorite shows of all time. Mike Judge, he created King of the Hill, but it was an interview for oh God, what's it called? The show on HBO, Silicon Valley. And he and Alec Berg were talking to, whomever, and they were talking about how the journalist the interviewer specifically asked a question of how come, there are highs and lows in this show, like very specific highs and very specific lows, very specific peaks and valleys. And, at the end of every season, the guys at Silicon Valley, on the show, they basically lose. Something really good happens, the company gets bought out, but then there's like a corkscrew in the mix. I don't know. The company gets bought out, but someone loses their job, something like that. And then next season, it all starts over again. And they said that had to happen. And I'm butchering this quote, but it had to happen because things like that have to happen because otherwise there would be no, growth, no story, blah, blah, blah. And stuff that comes with that. And then I think, no, you don't have to have that. Because there are great shows that, that can be dramatic and do all that stuff but no one has to lose a life. No one has to die. Now, look at Mad Men. One person died on that entire show, and that was Lane Price, and he killed himself in like the second to last season, versus Breaking Bad, where, 50 people probably died. And then El Camino was an action movie, basically, a thriller. But then you look at Schitt's Creek, and to some extent Parks and Rec, and then let me keep thinking of other shows that don't necessarily have the peaks and valleys that Silicon Valley have, but sitcoms like those where there are these dramatic elements where the characters do change and everything, but it doesn't have to be world shattering for the audience. It doesn't have to be this thing that changes the entire game. And now the show is going to go from a single camera to multicam. It doesn't have to be that way. And similarly, bouncing off of Schitt's Creek, and then the last finale I just finished watching was the Modern Family finale. And I hadn't seen that show in a couple of years. But the show is the exact same show as it was in season one. It's the same type of jokes. You could predict if you've seen one season of Modern Family, you've seen it all, and I was guessing the punchlines to jokes before they even happened, but I mean, they're good at that. They're good at planting the seeds for these types of jokes and storytelling. And I truly enjoyed my time with that last episode. Very fun. It was a very fun, very sweet finale. The Schitt's Creek finale was better, and I'm not judging both based on those merits, but the Schitt's Creek I enjoyed my time with that a lot more. But the Modern Family finale was also very good. And again, it wasn't world shattering. I don't think my TV is still on. It might have frozen. It doesn't have to be not every. I mean, it's anyway. I just want to talk about that for a little bit. This last thing I've tried to talk about is not gonna. It's not gonna be too long. Okay, so the final thing I want to talk about is QUIBI. So if you watch this week's episode of News Time, it is indeed about QUIBI. Oh my God, this sucks. Okay, QUIBI is a mobile video platform. I should pull up on my phone. It's a mobile video platform owned by or started by Jeffery Katzenberg, who was DreamWorks, and Meg Whitman, who worked at Hewlett Packard, and I believe General Electric, GE. I believe. Don't quote me on that last part. So they started this thing in 2018. This new way to watch television, and they called it New TV. But now, if you're watching the video, this is QUIBI. I'm pulling it up on my phone, and it's basically just an app where, and this is how I described it on News Time: rich YouTube with money. You subscribe, $5 or $8, ads or no ads, essentially, and you get to watch shows and movies in 10-minute increments. There's a show I'm looking at right now. It says Night Gowns. It's a documentary, and I believe it's a movie. And it's a TV show, whatever. It's said documentary, and episodes are 9 minutes long. And what's interesting, it was on my iPad for a little bit. What's interesting is they think that the way you hold your phone is the way you want to watch video. They think, you're watching Snapchats like that. You can watch YouTube videos, like this with the video just up in this top part right here. And then you can watch, Instagram stories like that. So why not watch video? You don't naturally hold your phone like this. So why not watch video holding it vertical? And there are pluses and minuses to that, obviously. The pluses are, yes, that's how you do watch video. But the minuses are that's not how TV is supposed to look. So again, they call this New TV in 2018. Now it's 2020, and it's called QUIBI, and it's got the backing of Disney and Lionsgate and Paramount, and just basically every studio, every creative power out there has money inside QUIBI, which is great, which is interesting, which is the way TV should be. Everybody should invest in Hulu. There should not be a Disney Plus. Everybody should invest in Hulu and Netflix and Amazon Prime, and not even Amazon Prime. Everybody should invest in those three, though. And there shouldn't be a 1,000 ways to watch things. Cheers shouldn't exist on 5 different streaming platforms, and 4 of them be freemium. Okay, so I'm just pissed that Cheers exists. I love Cheers. I do. I really do love Cheers. I've been watching Night Court at work this week, and I watched conservatively 100 episodes, and there's only 193. But that's just how the way my work works. I watched 100 episodes of Night Court this week. I also watched 50 episodes of One-on-One, and I want to kill myself. But I wanted to kill myself before that. Anyway, so QUIBI is interesting because it's got all these different shows on it. It's got shows starring Titus Burgess. He's hosting a game show. A show starring it's got reality shows like that. A game show called Game Show, GAYME show, with hosted by Matt Rogers, and I forgot the other guy's name, but it's featuring a bunch of other comedians just competing to be called the Queen of the Straits. Yeah. Queen of the Straits. I watched one episode of that, and then Flipped. I watched one episode of that. Flipped stars Caitlin Olsen and Will Forte trying to become the next greatest house flippers, and that's a movie. And that's shown in 7-minute increments. Again, it's a 10-minute increments. Most Dangerous Game, starring Christoph Waltz and Liam Hemsworth. That's a movie. And then Survive. I don't know if that's a series or a movie, but that's starring, what's her name? Sophie Turner. And, you know, and there's news, and there's a new Punk'd, hosted by Chance the Rapper, which I think kind of fits the Punk'd really works in this format. I'm not gonna BS on that one. A show called Sexology with Sean Boodram. Very attractive woman. I would love to hear her talk about sex. NBC's got a show. TMZ's got a show. BBC News has a show. E! News has a show. Weather Channel has a show. They suck. ESPN has a show. Polygon. And there is just Telemundo, iHeartRadio. So many different ways. EW. Just, oh my gosh. It's crazy how many people have a show. Truly, there's going to be 175 shows on here, I believe. 50 new shows, you know, 175 new shows or whatever. Any Hoosers, and the app works. But the thing is, people have been comparing, you know, now that you enter the video streaming space, they're going to be comparing you to everybody else. So what does QUIBI offer over Netflix? What does it offer over HBO Now? What does it offer over? And now the big comparison is Disney Plus. People are comparing. Let's say people, I say media outlets. They're comparing QUIBI's download numbers for day one download numbers to Disney Plus. Disney is obviously a bigger name. Of course, Disney had 1 million downloads on day one, but QUIBI had 300,000. You know, that's a failure. And now it's up to 880,000. I believe I saw the headline. And now that's I don't know, in 3 days, I guess that's a success. Who knows? But QUIBI's quirky in that you have to, if you're going to produce a show for QUIBI, it has to be produced in basically 2 different formats. The regular format, which is where you're watching, you know, stuff on the side. Also, you can't watch any of this stuff on TV. You can't, there's not even an iPad app. It's only for your iPhone and for your Android phone. That's it. You can't watch it online. You can't watch anywhere else. I read an interview with an analyst that said he would be surprised if in 6 months there wasn't a TV app. And this, I totally agree with him. If there's not even an iPad app at the end of the summer, I don't know what's going to happen to QUIBI. But right now, I'm very interested in it. I have 90-day trial, and I'm not going to go past that 90 days. Anyway, so you have to produce videos in 2 different formats. So you've got the regular side format with how you watch, how TV should be watched. And this is TV. They keep calling it TV. So, and then you also have the vertical format. And now the vertical format is, I did watch the first episode of Flipped and mostly vertical. And so you have things like this where if you're watching the video, you should definitely watch this, and also download QUIBI. It's free. But so when the video's like this on the side of your phone, you're just looking at the one camera where like the actors are reacting to something that's happening and you don't know what it is, and the camera can switch back and forth, or you hold it vertical and then on the top they splice 2 different videos so that you can see both sets of cameras looking at whatever is interesting. And this goes for reality shows. This goes for single camera shows. And it's a little disconcerting because your mind is being tricked into watching these 2 different things. And that's not how TV works. If you want to, if they want it to be a little shareable social thing, which they do, because on the video, you can just hit a button and it says like share to, let me flip it on the side and let me see. Yeah, there's a share button and you can share the link to the episode on your texts, on your to Google Drive, to however you share things. And as much as I like watching things, I don't want to watch things in vertical form. And if people only watch short things in vertical, they're only watching, the Instagram stories are 10 seconds long. Snapchats are 10 seconds, not 10 minutes. These things are 10 minutes. It's, I don't know. And then you can download video, obviously. It's an interesting idea, but you're really pigeonholing yourself if you're only going to put this thing out on phones. devices that go up to 6 or 7 inches versus, I have this thing, I have my laptop, I have this iPad, I have my laptop, I got my TV, I put apps everywhere. And I know that you're aiming for this mobile future, but you're putting yourself into a hole. And also charging $5 for it. At the end of this 90-day free trial, the only people left will be the people who get it for free, and that's T-Mobile users. And they get it free for a year. But other than that, people aren't going to want to stay attached for $5 a month, especially with ads. $8 a month without ads. And yeah, that's 2 cups of coffee. Or 1 cup of coffee if you live in LA or Chicago or New York. That's what happens when you spend most of your time alone. That's why I need a dog. Off, Storm, get off the bed. That's what I would say. There she is here. Oh my gosh. So yeah. I like the prospect of QUIBI. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I like the prospect of QUIBI. I'm not going to crap on it like everybody else seems to be doing at this point. The Android app does not have good reviews. The iOS app does not have good reviews. The iPad, obviously, and then again, if I pull up the iPad app, Face ID, lovely. If I pull up the iPad app, it's not even an iPad app. It's the thing where it makes the iPhone app, and it downloads the iPhone app, and it's the iPhone app in the iPad form. And it just blows up the screen, which I'm not a fan of. Which I delete if I find an app that I want to try out, and I find out it doesn't have an iPad app, I delete it immediately. This is QUIBI, and that's how I watched Flip. I watched an entire vertical video now since it's an iPhone app, there's half the screens at black bars. I watched it all vertical on this 11-inch screen. I do see where they're going with it, though. I do understand that this is a new way to watch a bunch of shows, a bunch of high quality shows that you would only be able to get on Netflix, on Amazon, on Hulu, on HBO. Flipped looks great. What's also interesting is that Netflix does this thing sometimes where you can tell it's a Netflix show by the lighting because it's very bright. Like One Day at a Time. I love One Day at a Time so much. I love. It's one of my favorite sitcoms, multicams especially. One of my favorite sitcoms. But the lighting on that show looked very much washed out, not washed out, but very much sanitized. The same thing goes for its movies, for Netflix's movies. All the movies look the exact same. Even the dark, gritty movies look the same. Bright white lights, cheap. And that's not knocking against Netflix. Sometimes, especially this week, because I've been watching, so much TV and all of the apps, I have all the apps. I really I know I'm so hard on Netflix and Disney, and then I subscribe to them anyway. I do like them, but their company practices just piss me off to no end. And nobody seems to be standing up for this. Viacom, when I was watching SCHITT'S CREEK, the finale, I had the app, the Pop TV app on my phone, and I threw it to my Chromecast, and the only commercials I saw for both episodes of SCHITT'S CREEK that I just finished were commercials for CBS All Access, The Good Fight, the new season, and Star Trek Picard, and then a Showtime show, and then that's it. And some CBS properties, but that's it. I didn't see anything else. And so, you can't be happy that Disney and Viacom and now T-Mobile is merged with Sprint. You can't be happy that all these these big companies own each other, and they're controlling what you watch and own and what you can, do and say about Nintendo. you can't play Nintendo games on YouTube or Twitch without being a Nintendo partner, and then they get some of your revenue. It's just, come on. You can't be happy about this stuff. You can support them. I mean, I think it's fine to support them because, they're not comedians that or actors or producers that have sexually assaulted somebody. But again, just hold them accountable. Like if Disney, yeah, I watched Onward last week, I didn't like Onward. It was, oh boy. And my dad is dead, and I did not like Onward. But I did enjoy Frozen 2. I did not think I was going to like it, but I loved it. I think that movie's better than the first one. I'm planning on watching it again soon. But I can subscribe to Disney Plus and then watch the new DuckTales, which I finished prior to Disney Plus even being a thing. And I can watch, old episodes of DuckTales, and I can watch Amphibia and Big City Greens and enjoy my time. But when they did buy out Fox, they did fire 9,000 people. So I'm allowed to say something like that. I'm allowed to have an opinion on them. So all in all, as I say, Onward was not good. Better than The Good Dinosaur, which I mean, they're both fine, and I never want to see them again. The end. I didn't like Onward. Maybe it's because I don't like Tom Holland. That's a very true statement. Also seems like they're scraping the bottom of the barrel. Not Tom Holland or Chris Pratt or Julia Louis-Dreyfus, but everybody else in that movie. They're like, who else haven't we had in a Pixar movie? Okay, we'll take Mel Rodriguez and Octavia Spencer. And that's nothing against Mel Rodriguez and Octavia Spencer, but it's so funny to see like a hodgepodge of people. Same thing for The Good Dinosaur. I think The Good Dinosaur is the most grab bag cast they've ever had. Just random people just thrown in. 42 minutes is going on for a long time. That's what happens when I got nothing going on. Okay, so let's recap. QUIBI can be good but them being bullheaded and saying this is the way that these videos should be watched. Oh, and what's interesting is that after 2 years, there's an exclusivity clause in the contracts for every single one of these shows and movies. You can take your show or movie after 2 years and distribute it somewhere else in any fashion you like. So if you don't want the vertical version, obviously you can take just the horizontal version. Oh, and I'll get back to the two production sides of that. You can just take the horizontal version and then take it over to Netflix, take it over to Hulu, take it over to YouTube for all they care. The video is still going to live on QUIBI, but you can also have that copy, your copy, the copy that you want, over on YouTube and do whatever and wherever video outlet, which is very interesting. But also back to producing for vertical and horizontal is that in an article I read for what was it? Variety, I believe. Yeah. Oh, I even linked it. Thank God. I didn't even look at this thing. You have to, oh no, this is a completely different one. Anyway, completely different article, but you have to produce 2 sets of video, obviously. So basically, you're doing multiple shots, multiple shoots. If it's a reality, I don't understand how they're doing this, but they're probably just getting multiple cameras in there. But you have to do multiple shots, multiple shoots, and then you have to make sure the video fits. So in the game show, JYME, I have to keep specifying that. It was obviously shot like, regular horizontal, but if you held it vertical, the camera would go back and forth between the hosts. And obviously that was a digital effect. But it's just so, that just creates extra work for everybody. And eventually there's going to be somebody who uses the format to its advantage, and they make a show that's mostly meant to be watched in vertical, and it's going to be interesting. It's going to be kind of like a first person thing. I mean, I don't know. I just don't want to throw ideas out there because hopefully QUIBI will call me. Jeffery, Katzenberg, Meg Whitman, if you are watching this, I will sell myself for you. Anyway, listen, I've been talking for a while. So why don't we end this? If you like what you heard here, head on over to the website, sleeplesscomedy.com. where there is going to be, I promise you, because of the coronavirus, I've had to double down at work. No, I've had to quadruple down at work. I truly have had to do so much work in the past, 2 weeks. So I did not have a chance to, and even though I did the interview like a month ago at this point, I didn't have a chance, or no, 2 weeks ago, I did not have a chance to type up the profile for Larry the Cable Guy. That hopefully will be up next week. And then I have another comedian. Actually, I have 2 more comedians coming. And so next week, hopefully. So all 10 of you can read it. And then you can head over to the website, cpluscomedy.com. That's great. If you want to see a video version of the show, go to youtube.com/cpluscomedy. You can see me sitting in bed, not cutting. Alone, as usual. Talking to my magic. Sit, Storm. She's probably adopted already. What if we come back next week and there's just a dog sitting next to me on the couch, on the futon? This is my back on the futon. And also on youtube.com/cpluscomedy, you can see the premiere show that started it all, News Time. It's like the Daily Show, except way less funny. So check it out. This week's episode, we take one story. This is News Time in a nutshell. Take one story, news, entertainment news, business story, and then make it digestible. Yeah. Those tacos are coming back. Excuse me. This week's episode is about QUIBI. So if you want to learn more about QUIBI in a more condensed manner, watch News Time. It's a really good episode, and I worked so hard on it. I love it. That's it. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter, @CPlusComedy. Instagram, @CPlusComedy. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, @ChadBlackWhite. Thank you so much for listening. This is the end. Hello, my friends. No, goodbye. Okay. Bye.